What's going on, YouTube world? Y'all already know who it is. It's your favorite boy, Mr. Tyree Grants, coming back to y'all with another video. Y'all saw a caption, you read the title, you know what this is about. Before we get into it, do me a big favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Really would help the algorithm, would help me grow. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. But anyways, today I'm going to tell you guys about a date that I went on. And I'm going to tell you specifically more about, I told her that I wanted to do YouTube. And this is her reaction. So, without further ado, let's get into the story. Alright. So, a long time ago, not a long time ago, maybe like 7-8 months ago, I matched with this woman online. Everything was great. We had this super good connection, and it was like amazing. And then, we're like, okay, like let's get it off the internet, you know, let's get the numbers or whatever, yada yada. You know how the dating game goes. And I was like, cool, all right, cool. So everything is good, everything is peachy. So we start talking, we start having conversations, everything is going great so far. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, you know, a natural progression with dating, you know, like eventually you're gonna go on a date. So I'm like, all right, I ask her out. She's like, cool. So we set up a time and a place to go on this date. And then I'm all pumped. I'm having a good conversation with her. And something I noticed about this woman is she's very serious, kind of, not serious, but more so she has like a very I don't know how to describe it. Kind of like a personality that you can kind of tell, like she takes everything like very like intensely, if that makes any sense. I thought nothing of it. If you guys know me, I'm pretty goofy. I'm a pretty chill, goofy guy. So, anyways, the date comes. We're just gonna go get dinner. We meet up at the spot that I choose, and everything is going great so far. We're just chopping it up, having a good conversation. Everything is feeling great. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm like, okay, the date is cool. You know, we're talking. We talked a lot. I mean, beforehand about what our hobbies and interests are. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. So I was telling her, I was like, oh, you know, I'll kind of rehash some of the things we already talked about. And I was like, yeah, you know, I got a lot of hobbies, a lot of things I'm passionate about. And then I'll never forget it. And I said, and at the time I didn't tell her about the whole thing about YouTube. I was kind of like, you know, not thinking much of it. You know, I just didn't come across my brain. And I was like, you know, she asked me, she's like, if you could do anything in your life, she said, what would it do? What would it be? And I straight up told her, I was like, if I could do anything in my life and wake up every day and do it, it'd probably be YouTube. And she was like, what? And I was like, YouTube. She's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, what do you want to do on YouTube? And I said, dude, I said, not dude, but I told her, I was like, I would love to do dating content. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was kind of like quiet for a second, and it was kind of weird. I was just kind of like, okay. And this one busts out laughing. She's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. She's like, really? And I was like, yeah. She's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. She's like, that's not a real career you're trying to do there into your life. And I was like, maybe. I mean, obviously I have a full 9 to 5, but I love YouTube. And it was weird because, like, after we had kind of talked about it, I felt like the mood just changed. Like, I think she was taking me serious as a grown man. And then after I told her that, I don't know, like, I felt like she kind of looked at me kind of like, this is a grown man, like, with some kid ambitions or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? I guess she was expecting me to say, oh, I want to be like an astronaut or like a doctor or, you know, something like that, or a lawyer. And no disrespect, those are all great jobs, and I know people love that and grow up to want to be these things, and they're probably happy. But I think she kind of assumed maybe I was gonna go with somewhere that or something. And yeah, the vibe kind of changed, the mood changed, and I was kind of like, huh. And then yeah, we finished off the date, which was fine, but it was just so weird. I was just kind of like, you asked me what would I like to do, and then I told you, and then I was kind of like. Granted, guys, if y'all already know, I do have a 9 to 5. I have a fairly good job. I have my own place and everything, so I'm doing pretty well for myself. But like I said, I know that you gotta have a realistic job that you love to, like, you have to pay the bills and survive, and then you can have your hobbies. You know what I mean? So long story short, we finished off the date, gave each other a hug. Everything was fine. You know, nothing crazy. And then yeah, we kept on talking for a couple days. And I was like, okay, like, the way it kind of fell off was kind of weird, but I was open to giving another shot. I was like, all right, why not? Let's see what happens. Then she hits me up, like, I think like 2 or 3 days later, and she was like, hey, I gotta talk. And I'm like, okay, well, as a guy, you know, when a woman says let's talk, like, it's not usually good if you phrase it something like that. I was like, okay, shoot, what's going on? And she was like, to be honest with you, I think you're kind of a loser. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I think you're kind of a loser. And I was like, why? And she was kind of like, yeah, I kind of got turned off. And I was like, from when? And she was kind of like, you were like, oh, why do you want to do YouTube? Like, that's so dumb. Like, that's like, like it's so funny. Like, she was like, yeah, like I like watching people on YouTube and content creators, but like, you know what I mean? Like, why would you want to invest all that time into something like that when it's kind of silly? You're not going to get anywhere. And I was kind of like, because I kind of like it. She was like, yeah, I can kind of tell. You wanted to tell me that. And I was like, I know, I love it. And I'm not ashamed about it. And she was kind of like, yeah, I need a guy that's more realistic about, she's like, I want to have a family and stuff. And, you know, I don't think, you know, I'm going to continue this because it seems like you have things that don't seem realistic. Basically, she was like, yeah, I wanted some guy that actually has structure and isn't just winging it. And I was just like, what? Because I said I like YouTube and I want to be a content creator. And she was like, yeah. She's like, I hope you find someone that's okay with that because I don't think that's something that's really realistic to actually become something for you. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that. In my head, I didn't say that, but I was just like, okay. And then, yeah, long story short, after that, I just said, all right, well, you have a great night. And she said, you as well. And that was completely it. We had never talked after that. But the message that I got from this story is who cares what other people think? Who cares if people don't necessarily believe in your goals or not necessarily believe in your goals, but they think what you like to do is silly. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily expect myself to blow up or do anything crazy with my content, but I think that I do genuinely enjoy it. And I love it. And obviously I have myself a regular job and everything like that. But I love content creation. I think it gives me a sense of fulfillment. I think at the end of the day, when you pass away, you want to look back at your life and say, like, did you do things that really made you feel fulfilled? You know what I mean? And this is something that I genuinely enjoy. You know what I mean? So I think when she said that, I was kind of like, okay, well, you're definitely not my person because this is something that I really enjoy, regardless if it goes somewhere or not, So I didn't really care because I know that regardless, I'm going to do this. And yeah, so we stopped talking and that was it. But for men out there, women out there, if you're dating and someone knocks your, maybe you have something that you like to do on the side and maybe it seems silly to them and they don't understand it, then they're not your person. Don't sit there and waste more time or try to convince them or anything, because the right person will like you for you and they will respect things that you enjoy and they will love things that might seem silly. They'll be like, okay, well, go for it. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? That's when you know you found someone great. Until then, just keep on looking, y'all. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you guys learned a message. And if you guys have experienced anything similar to what I have on a date or anything like that, or even maybe just some friendships, please let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been your favorite boy, Mr. Tyriq Grant. Until the next one, peace.